I'm Storm, I live in Leeds, and I'm going to talk about my experiences on Salvia. First time I tried Salvia was about 4 years ago when I first came to Leeds. I bought it from Leeds City Market from one of the many head shops that sell all your general stoner paraphernalia. I went for times 10 strength at the time because I didn't really want to jump into the deep end for my first experience. I was in a safe and comforting environment with two of my closest friends. I held it in. I smoked it with a bong and held it in for about 20 seconds until my vision started to vibrate. Once my vision started vibrating, I felt like I was in a Jimi Hendrix video. Everything, all the outlines from everything were rippling out at me, and created this sort of tunneling experience. I felt like I was being pushed or pulled through a tunnel. I was trying to hold on to my consciousness by reminding myself of who I was, where I was, and what I was doing. But after about a minute or two, I lost all sense of who I was and where I was. I then stood up and immediately felt like I was in a dimly lit arena where on my left-hand side, which is where my two friends were, I was safe, and on the right-hand side, where no one was, I was being judged by millions of people. So naturally I tried to migrate to the left-hand side, the safe side, and I noticed that I couldn't actually get to that side. I was being blocked by some sort of invisible force field, much like the force field in Star Wars. So I tried to break through it with my elbow, hitting harder and harder, until eventually I broke through, and as I broke through the wall, I was back in the room. So that was a pretty strange experience. Afterwards, I noticed I had some blotches on my neck, so I took my shirt off, and it turns out that I had this massive rash all over my chest, and my skin was very itchy and irritable, and for about 10 minutes after that I felt very claustrophobic, but after 10-15 minutes I was back to normal. My more recent experience was with ×5 strength. Because it's half the strength, I took 2 big hits to reach the desired level. And the first thing I noticed was I kind of felt like it was the first time I'd ever been in a body, and I was doing this with my hands and sort of moving my limbs and thinking, wow, this is really strange. It felt like I'd never been in a body before. So it really gave me a sense of, being a mind, and rather than being my meat body. So after about a minute I decided to lie down, and as I was laying down I naturally laid down slowly, although from my perspective I felt like I was sort of stepping down like that as I was laying down. I closed my eyes, and all of a sudden I was in a different world. Everything around me was stone, like long snakes, sort of wrapping and intertwining, but all made of stone, and moving as well. It was very odd. I noticed great detail in the stone, like cracks and geometry engraved in the stone, and everything was like a brownish hue, or different shades of browns and oranges. And even though I was laying down in my bed by this point, I felt like I was still sinking further. I was being pulled down, and I felt this presence, this external presence in my head that wasn't me, and it wasn't my thoughts. It was something else. I remember asking out loud, who are you and where are you taking me? I didn't feel threatened at all. I just felt confused and hopeless. What I find particularly interesting about my experiences are the references to the Mesoamerican cultures, their artwork and statues. These pre-Columbian ancient civilizations such as the Mayans, the Mazateks and the Aztecs, it's well documented that they used to practice religious and spiritual ceremonies with visionary substances such as ayahuasca and salvia. So it comes as no surprise to me that their statues and artwork are depictions of these godlike realms.